Hello, welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. The transfer window is finally shut, and Newcastle have signed 5 players. The response that I've seen on social media seems that everyone is rather happy with the business they've done. Obviously, they had to act in the transfer market because the squad they've got or had before the January transfer window was not good enough, in many people's opinions, to survive the drop to the Championship. A few people feel they should have gone out and got a striker. There were attempts. We know the young French striker, Hugo Etekia, was one they had an offer accepted for. The young man decided to stay in France for now. Maybe want to revisit in the summer, but defensively they have added some strong additions. Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn got done just before the deadline, and Matt Targett on loan. Now, of course, they went after Diego Carlos, they went after Sven Botman, and it didn't happen for them. But Dan Burn, from people you speak to, he seems a very solid addition. He's had a good season at Brighton. Obviously, he returns to Newcastle. He was released as a youngster, so that probably plays a bit of part in it. You know, hopefully that inspires him and can take him on to another level, because he's playing out the dream that most of you guys watching now will have of playing for Newcastle United. You know, we all had it as a youngster, kicking a ball around the schoolyard, and Dan Burn got to live that slightly before being released. He then worked his way up through the leagues, finally getting to the Premier League with Fulham, then joined Brighton, and he's performed really well. Someone that kind of just goes under the radar, 6'7", a tall guy. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on. Will it be in a back three? Will it be as a centre back? Plenty of questions for Eddie Howe to face, but positive ones, because he's got lots of options at the back. Federico Fernandez returning from the injury he had. Fabian Schär had a great game against Leeds. You've also got Kieran Clark and Jamal Lascelles. It looks like Kieran Clark's going to stay. Plenty of reports suggested he was offered a way out to a loan deal, but no, it looks like he's going to stay unless something breaks and it goes through after this deadline, which of course it can do. The paperwork's there and what have you. It looks like he's going to stay. Jamal Lewis obviously will be watching today, and I would have seen Targett come in. You would assume Targett has some game time assured, because, you know, that's why he's left Aston Villa. He's seen Digne come in. He's not happy at that. So there's a feeling he's pushed for a move out of Villa Park. He's ended up at Newcastle. I think it's a good, solid signing. We have a podcast out tomorrow with Ashley Priest from Birmingham Live, who gives us the insight into Matt Targett. Plenty discussed there, the guy's character, the guy's attributes, and what he'll bring to Newcastle. Really interesting line announced at Maximum, so watch out for that. That'll be live about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning on our podcast channel. But yeah, I think that's a decent signing on loan. Gives him a chance to impress, and it looks like, from people you speak to, that he's probably not going to have a chance to go back to Villa in the summer. So it's all to play for him here, because Newcastle, you know, Jamal Lewis has been unfortunate with injuries. I'm a big fan of Jamal Lewis. I know certain people are, you know, watching this as well. He's been unfortunate with injuries, but I think it'd be really good to have that competitive nature now at left back. Plenty of talk that he won't actually be in Eddie Howe's 25-man squad. So that's what we wait for, that to see the players who are unfortunately going to have to miss out for the rest of the season. I think it would be a shame if Lewis did miss out, but, you know, Eddie Howe obviously has decisions to make, and if he does indeed miss out Lewis, you know, he'll have to just be working hard and training, be part of that camp, and then come the summer, hopefully he'll get a chance to go up against Matt Targett or whoever comes in the summer if Matt Targett doesn't stay. Trippier, we all know about Trippier. He's been a tremendous signing so far. That leadership he brings, he's been a fresh breath of fresh air. Lots of people think he should be captain, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him. Going into the comments now, some people are saying they're gutted about Lingard. I mean, I think a lot of people were. Newcastle were in for that, but Manchester United seemingly didn't at the start, didn't want to send him out on loan unless the big fee was paid. It then looked like it was on, then it was off, then it was on, and in the end it was called off. It is a big blow, because you feel Newcastle did and could do with another attacking player. They haven't managed to bring in another striker, which I think a lot of people were hopeful of. It was clear Newcastle were in the market for one, but obviously we've mentioned the move for it didn't go through, and they were left looking to their options, but no one else that could be done in the time they'd been given after the young man pulled out of the deal. Obviously Lingard didn't go through. So it'll be interesting how Newcastle get on there. You would hope that Chris Wood can get a few goals, and then we get back to Callum Wilson up top in 6 weeks' time or so, hopefully even before then. And at that point, Newcastle, hopefully, touchwood, won't be in need of saving. But of course, this is Newcastle United, and they've got to take game by game. But it's I think it's been a very decent window in terms of we knew clubs were going to demand a lot of money for players. Newcastle weren't scared by that. They went into negotiations. If it didn't work, they went elsewhere. And, they needed additions, and they've got some solid additions, good Premier League additions as well. The experience of Targett, the experience of Trippier, and the experience of Wood, key. And then you have, the big signing in Bruno Guimaraes, which is an absolute, it's quite an unbelievable signing, actually. Because he was quoted by Arsenal, Juventus. He's one of the best young central midfielders in Europe, and Newcastle have gone out and signed him. It kind of came out of the blue, didn't it? And there's a lot of excitement out there over Guimaraes, and it's not surprising when you talk to people, when you read up on him. I admit I didn't know much about him, but when you do read up on him, it's clear that Newcastle have signed quite the player, and fingers crossed he can settle in straight away and he can make a difference, because Newcastle have been lacking someone, his style of play in that middle of the park. So it's really good to see him in, and Everton obviously are the visitors on February the 8th. So maybe his debut there, it's set to be a really good atmosphere. War Flags talking about coming at the Leazer's end to make it just a cauldron of fire for Everton visiting. So it'd be really interesting to see if all these guys make their debuts, Trippier, Dan Burn and Guimaraes. I'm going to dive into the comments now. We've got KSI Macy here saying we had the best transfer window in 14 years and feel we still, but I feel we needed another striker to make it 100% sure. And that is the feeling of quite a few people, actually, that the striker that Newcastle haven't got on top of Wood is a bit of a gamble, a bit of a risk. But I think when you consider the other business they've done, Callum Wilson nearing a return, Dwight Gale, is still there. He hasn't gone. So when fit, he's definitely an option. I think the thing with Wood is that you really need to change the way you play, and Newcastle have yet to do that. You've got to just one touch and get the ball in the box, and for him to be successful, Newcastle are going to have to change a little bit about the way they play. Alistair Maximin's going to have to change his game slightly. So it'll be really interesting to see if Newcastle do that over the next few weeks to get the best out of Wood, who knows where the goal is. Okay, he's been quiet this season, but he knows where the goal is. He's played in teams that have been fighting for survival. He's the kind of character you need, and I think if he gets a chance, he will get a few goals. He's not here just to fill in. He's here to compete with Callum Wilson, which is a massive task, but he's ready for that. But yes, I can see the point that people are making about another striker would have been good. But hey, 5 signings in this window, is it more than we expected? I think some people will say yes. Others will say no, it's just exactly what we needed. And defensively, Newcastle, I think, are much stronger than they were when the window first opened. And it's because defensively they've been all over the place. They've not been defending like a Premier League side. So these additions were very much needed. People you speak to say Targett is more, he's better defensively than he is going forward. And he could work really well with Alistair Maximin, which would be interesting to see. He's been described as Mr. Consistent, which reminds you a bit of Paul Dummett, but he's probably got a little bit more pace there. Of course, Paul Dummett's suffering with injuries of late, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And we've got a comment here from Anthony Lloyd, says you cannot win games if you can't stop the other teams scoring. Good job sorting out the defense. I think a lot of people will agree with that statement. The defense was the priority, and it's taken them right to deadline day to get the centre back in, but they've got it. Okay, it wasn't the potentially first option with Botman and Carlos. And interestingly, Botman's quotes tonight that were published, and he's talked about the deal, the interest from Newcastle United, and he talks about it being a good project, and he sort of hints that it could be one revisited in the summer. Now, these players have been scouted, Botman and Carlos, by Newcastle United. So don't be surprised if they do go back in the summer. But this is the quote he says: everyone says about Newcastle, it's all about the money, but it's a very nice project. If you look at where Man City and PSG started, I think it would be very nice to be part of that. But Milan is a beautiful club. And of course, Milan were the other side interested in him. He was then asked if he would revisit a possible switch to St James Park in the summer. And he said, I'm fine at Lille for the time being. I assume that I will take a good step in my career next summer. You never know in football. This time, both Newcastle and Milan were in very concrete talks. Both clubs have their positive points. And I think a lot of people have made this point on social media. If Newcastle weren't in the position they were, in the relegation zone, desperate for wins, they get the only point from safety. In my opinion, the odds are still against Newcastle slightly. Had they been mid-table, had they been pushing towards the top 10, it maybe would have been a little bit easier to sell the project. That being said, they've signed Gameres, who, like we say, had interest from all over the shop, from some really good teams at the right end of their respective leagues. But I think for maybe Botman, Carlos, clearly there was interest there. But we have seen, as some people have described in the comments, the Newcastle United tax, which will be ever present for Newcastle United now, because everyone is under the impression that Newcastle have endless amounts of money. But I think really good that, the owners didn't necessarily bow down to these demands, because some of the demands were ridiculous. They didn't just sign the check. They wanted to get value for money. And I think when you look at what they've done, Dan Burn, good solid defender, 13 million or so, good signing there. Trippier, for his experience, was it reported initial 12 million, some add-ons. Again, good little signing there. Chris Wood, okay, maybe not, but you need to get a striker in. You want a Premier League experience. You found out he had a release clause. You've got to match that, and that's why it was so high. Burnley didn't think anyone was going to match it. Newcastle did. He's here. So I think overall they have got good value for money. Matt Targett on loan. It's a kind of a win-win situation in many ways. If it doesn't work, okay, send them back. If it does work, look at maybe signing them in the summer. So I think Newcastle and the board, given they haven't got a director of football or chief executive, have done actually remarkably well, given it's the first time that these groups have all worked together, probably had agents all over, in their ears, and a lot of people trying to, sell their clients to them and what have you. I think they've done well. They seem to have had a vision. Eddie Howe, Steve Nixon, all seem to work together, which is really, really good. And I think it's a positive one. Okay, you didn't get that striker in, as I've mentioned, but other than that, I think we can look back on this month and say it's a positive one for their first window. Of course, now it all depends on the results on the pitch, but a good couple of weeks or so, isn't it? The 8th of February, that game against Everton, for players to work together and for these new players to bed in. You would assume all of them are fit. They've all played competitive football of late. Matt Targett only out of the team because of Luca Digne's arrival. Dan Burn was playing, I'm sure, in the last game for Brighton. So they're all fit. They can fit straight into it. No worries about fitness and what have you. Gumurez, of course, was on an international duty with Brazil, fit as well. So you would think these players are ready for the debut against Everton at St James Park on the 8th of Feb. Very excited to see that happening. Hopefully the next couple of weeks or so, or 8 days, can bring some joy on the training pitch and they can bed in, as we say. And I think it's been a good month. Let us know in the comments what you think. Head over to chroniclelive.co.uk, where you can keep it with all the latest Newcastle United news, including some outgoings that might happen post deadline. There's talk of Jeff Henrik heading to QPR. As I'm recording this, I'm not sure if he's gone or not. I did check, but it was looking like it needed to be confirmed. I'll just check now. Nothing as of yet, but there was whispers of that. Elliot Anderson's gone to Bristol, which I think is a really good move for him. He needs competitive first team football, and I think that's a really good move. Important few months coming up for him. Hopefully, under Joey Barton, he gets the chance to perform. He gets a chance to show why he's held in such high regard in Newcastle and can come back in the summer and really push for a starting place, maybe. And Newcastle can have all this money, but there's some good youngsters in the under-23s, and hopefully this is a chance here for Elliot Anderson to prove himself and get into the mind of Eddie Howe come the summer, and hopefully force his way into his first team plans. Really good move that. Other than that, I think that's just about it. We'll wrap up there. Like I say, no confirmation yet there of QPR and Jeff Henry, but do keep an eye on the website for that. And thank you very much for listening. So head over to chroniclelive.co.uk. Remember to like and subscribe to the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed the January transfer window coverage. It's been a busy one. It's been exciting, which hasn't always been something we've been used to here at Chronicle Live. But it's been a pleasure to bring you all the updates, all the moves and all the gossip and rumours. And we do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your night.